Good evening, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to another Meaningful Monday. And just for the new people, I'm just going to ask if I can mute all your microphones. If you want to ask me a question, please type it in the chat box, or unmute your mic, or raise on you've got a menu bar there. You've got reactions. You can raise your hand and I can have you ask a question. Otherwise, do please keep your microphones off so it just keeps the noise level down, because sometimes you can't hear anything on your end, but we can hear it on our end. All right, so Meaningful Monday is just to really raise your awareness to create your best life. So I want you to right now think about, what is it that you really want? And I know that might sound like an obvious question, but they say if you ask 100 people, what do you really want? Only 2% can actually answer just like that. So don't be the 98%, be the 2%, be intentional. Think about what it is that you want for yourself, what it is that you want for your life. If it's to do with health and you're not very well, then think in clear, specific terms, what kind of health condition would you like to be in? If it's to do with money, be specific, not I just want to be wealthier. How much money do you want? In very specific terms. Quantify it. Even have a deadline by when you want to create this. If it's about relationships, be very specific in your head. Which relationship do you want to fix? How do you want it to be? If you had to describe it to someone from scratch, I'd like the relationship to be XYZ. Come up with that in your head. Formulate that right now. When you answer any of these questions, what health condition would you like to be in? How much money would you like, and by when? What kind of relationship would you like, or any other goal that you have? Only answer it for yourself in the positive term. Do not say, I don't want to be sick. I don't want a sore hip. I don't want to struggle financially. Only say what it is that you want, especially in the relationship. Don't say, I don't want to keep arguing with the person. Say, I'd like to have a
Hey guys, we've lost Janine. She won't be long just to get back on track.
Thanks, Nancy.
Apologies, I'm sure Nancy picked up the slack there. I think the Wi-Fi is just disconnected. Just a second, one second. All right, apologies. I'm going to switch the Wi-Fi in just a second, because this is not going to be powerful enough and you're going to hear me dropping in and out. So please just be patient and I'll be back with you in just a second. In the meantime, take a pen, take a paper, and actually write down a statement of exactly what you want to create for yourself. At least one goal. If you have more than one, that's also fine, but at least one goal in specific, measurable terms.
It's not working.
Okay. Okay. I'm just going to get this other Wi-Fi up and then we'll switch over in just a second. For now, back to the presentation. Okay. So when I say imagination is your only redemption, I mean this literally. It's not a figurative term. It means that if you want to be redeemed from financial struggle, if you want to be redeemed from a bad relationship, if you want to be redeemed from poor health, sickness, illness, or lack of life purpose, or feeling a bit lost and confused, or struggling to find spiritual fulfillment, the only way out, and I mean the only way out, is through using your imagination. So when I spoke earlier about how much repetition I've had in my own personal life with personal development in order to change, this is exactly the same subject as I talk about over and over on most Meaningful Mondays. The only difference is I'm talking about it from a different facet, and the content I'm going to share with you tonight mainly comes from the work of Neville Goddard, from a very incredible book of his called The Power of Awareness. And I can tell you that if you read that book 1,000 times and you read it again, you would learn something from that book the 1,000th time. It's that powerful. So let's get into this tonight. The first thing we need is awareness. So awareness is this first step to change. People say, if you don't have the awareness, nothing in your life is going to change. If you are feeling stuck in your life, in any area, the word stuck comes to mind because nothing is changing. And the only reason that nothing is changing is because you, or whoever the person is, lacks the awareness of something or some information to help create the change. It's nothing else. It's always going to be awareness. So the minute we become aware, we can start making the change. So when I tell you tonight that imagination is the only redemption, I might only make you aware tonight. You might not change anything, but if you repeat this or think about it more than tonight, or review the notes, or listen to this recording, or buy the book and read it for yourself, and with repetition, that awareness will slowly become change for a person. Some people can change very quickly. It depends on who you are and your intention and your willingness to change yourself. Not your outside conditions and circumstances, yourself. And why I say it takes repetition is because everybody, every human being, depending on the person, all have a degree of resistance to change. So the average person, and I'm just going to say average, the 98% of the population are resistant to change. 2% are more willing to change, but they still have a degree of resistance to change. Even a person like Tony Robbins, he is out of his comfort zone every day, growing himself and changing. And not that I recommend him anything, I'm just talking about him because he's quite out there, he's quite bold. But any personal development person on the planet has some degree of resistance to change. It's just our awareness that change is growth. So through awareness, we stay outside our comfort zone. So let's talk about awareness. If you think about your health, your money, your relationship, or whatever it is that you want to change in life, the first step to consciously manifest or to create your desired reality is the awareness that you are the absolute, ultimate, and undeniable creator of your circumstances. This is the first premise. If you don't believe this statement, I cannot help you and no one can help you. You can have a coach, you can have a mentor, you can do any course under the planet, you can attend 20 silver methods. You will not get the result until you absolutely own and believe this first quote. So you cannot blame anyone for anything. This is a big ask. It's very confrontational. It's very much in your face. But you know what? That's a good thing. It sometimes gets our attention and makes us realize that maybe the change we want is just out of reach because we are not conscious or aware that maybe we do blame an outside person or condition or institution or government or economy or organization or the weather or the partner or the child or the family, something. We blame as a reason for our unhappiness, for our financial situation, for our relationship situation. I'm telling you, as I sit here now, if this slide doesn't become your dominant intent before you have the desire to fix and achieve your goal and fix your life and get the thing that you want, you are always going to either create very, very slowly. So it'll take you 5 years to change what you could probably change in 5 weeks, or you won't actually have any change. Or worse, you'll become more and more disempowered. We cannot blame anything, anyone, nothing, zero. Also, no excuses. We cannot make excuses. Les Brown, who's a motivational speaker, I love Les Brown, and I had the privilege of meeting him in the US and actually doing a course with him. You know, there are no excuses, he says, and there is nothing on earth that we can ever say that is justified. So there are no anything outside of yourself, any reason why you can't be what you want to be or create what you want to create. We have to own it and say it's just an excuse. And if we eliminate that from our vocabulary and just ask ourselves, what can I learn? What do I need to learn? What am I not aware of that can help me get this or achieve this or become this? The other image there with the man with his hands up is the helplessness one. Ever feeling helpless that you cannot change your wealth, your health, your happiness, your relationship is just a false premise. Absolutely a false premise. All of that, blaming, helplessness, having excuses, is a victim mentality. And as long as we have a victim mentality, we will not be able to create the life of our own design. Because, I'll just go back the slide. The first step to consciously manifest or to create a design reality is the awareness that you are the ultimate creator. You are born in the likeness and image of God, the ultimate creator. So if you're born in the likeness and image of your creator, it means that you too have the same properties, the same qualities, meaning you are a creator. You're not a victim of circumstance. You create all your reality. So I love James Allen. He wrote one of my favorite books that I teach as a mastermind, as a foundational program every year, which is As a Man Thinketh. This comes out of the book As a Man Thinketh. It says, man is made or unmade by himself. In the armory of thought, he forges the weapons by which he destroys himself. He also fashions the tools with which he builds for himself heavenly mansions of joy and strength and peace. Several years ago, I was going through a very tough time. Emotionally, in my relationship, financially, in many regards, it felt like the chips were down all around me. And I can tell you, I read As a Man Thinketh, and I read this paragraph over and over and over again. And I had to come to own the idea that I, with my mind, created the weapons by which I have created all this unhappiness in my own life. I didn't want to initially. I wanted to have a reason, an excuse, blame some person, blame some circumstance, whatever it may be. But when we release all of that, we can get to taking 100% responsibility for ourselves. And when we take 100% responsibility, we can then build our life and have more motivation to build it. Because when you take 100% responsibility, we just amplify and augment the motivation to create the life of our own design. If you're going to have a victim mentality, there's no energy there. You don't have the energy. Have you ever felt that feeling of just being exhausted? Life is so tough, or finances are so tough, you're tired of it. Or the relationship is so tough, you're tired of it. Or the illness is dragging you down and you're so tired of it. Why are you tired? You're tired because being helpless sucks your energy. Being a victim sucks your energy. The minute you say, I'm going to take 100% responsibility, somehow, some way, even if I didn't do it consciously, I did create where I am, and therefore I can create my way out of it. And I'll tell you that people don't like to hear that, and especially, I'm going to say it, and I don't hope I don't offend anyone, but Bruce Lipton, who wrote The Biology of Belief, and he came up with epigenetics back in the 1980s when he said, there is no such thing as hereditary disease. There might be a precursor, but the genes cannot create, because like my father had gout, my grandfather had gout, so that's why I've got gout. That's what people thought genetics did. But Bruce Lipton proved that there's epigenetics. There's got to be another reason why the gout manifests. And that is our mind, our thoughts, and our feelings about the subject. And it's called, his famous book is called The Biology of Belief. So he said, if a person believes in hereditary disease, they create it. So the medical industry was wrong for centuries. And we just were conditioned and started to believe that things are hereditary. It's the belief that it's hereditary that causes the actual ailment. It's not that the genes create the ailment. And this is now proven, and this is now more than 40 years ago that this was proven, and everyone might know Bruce Lipton's name. If you haven't, please look him up, he's great. Or Dr. Joe Dispenza, and even Jose Silva from the Silva Method. It's all the same kind of theme. So when a person gets told that somehow, some way, the illness that they've got was created, I don't mean to say you created it consciously, so, oh, I'm going to get sick and manifest this. No one would do that. But subconsciously, some emotional underlying dis-ease that's never been addressed has prolonged, gone on for so long, never been addressed. Eventually, if you don't address it, the body starts to whisper, there's something wrong, you need to finally address this thing. If you ignore it and suppress it and reject it, it starts to call a bit louder. And if you still ignore it, it then shouts at you, and that's what disease is. It comes back as something real strong. Now, the good news about this is, with awareness, we can heal our bodies. And I'm going to say this with absolute confidence. As I sit here now, any condition has been cured. If you don't believe me, then just do the research on it. I'm talking about any condition, multiple sclerosis, any form of cancer, even paralysis. Today is 100% proven a person with nothing more than the power of their own mind can heal their bodies completely. So scroll back. 100% responsibility, meaning I take ownership for my health. I take ownership for my financial situation. I take ownership for every relationship in my life, for my spirituality, for my life purpose, for my joy, for my happiness, for my peace of mind. So once we have that, we can then go on to the next step. So I'm going to talk about the power of assumption. When I say imagination is your only redemption, well, if you have assumption, it means you're assuming something. It's not real. It's assumed. So let's read this. This is Neville Goddard. Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. All that befalls a man, all that is done by him, all that comes from him, happens as a result of his state of consciousness. A man's consciousness is all that he thinks and desires and loves, all that he believes is true, and all that he consents to. So I just want to mute. Okay. Oh, please keep your microphones on mute. Unless you want to ask me a question, you can please put it into the chat box or then unmute your mic. There's just some noise in the background. Thank you. So this is great. Man's chief delusion, I love that word, chief delusion, is that his conviction. Yes, because some people do have the conviction. They will tell you absolutely. They will be able to justify the cause for their unhappiness or whatever their condition is that they're not happy with. They will tell you the reason. They will fight for their limitations. And that is conviction. But he's saying you're deluding yourself. There is no other cause except for our own consciousness. So our consciousness, what it is today, is the cause of the situation that we're in now. If we want to change the situation, we have to change our consciousness. And that can only be done with the use of the imagination. Because if you're going to pay attention to the effects in your world or the outside evidence, you're going to influence your mind through your five senses by looking at, let's say, your bank balance. That's going to affect your thoughts. I don't have enough money. Or looking at or observing something a person does and convincing yourself, you see, they are annoying. You see, they are stubborn, or they are difficult, or whatever the thing is that you're thinking, by observing it with your five senses. So we are so conditioned to be outside focused and to have our minds and our consciousness filled with the stimulus from our five senses. We don't use the power we have to redeem ourselves of absolutely any condition and create any condition if we only put more emphasis onto our power of imagination or the power of assumption. Okay, so let's continue then. So 100% absolute responsibility, nothing less. So when a person thinks that, if I just went back here, that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness, a person may speak like this: I'm sick because the weather was really cold yesterday. Or I'm sick because somebody sneezed on me. I'll just tell you, in both those circumstances, the reason the person is sick is they believed that the weather or the person who sneezed on them would make them sick. So there again, their belief. If you want to understand this in a deeper way, just go into YouTube and after this and Google The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton on YouTube. It's a 1.5 hour talk. It basically covers what's in his book. It's excellent. Or a person says, I'm poor because I haven't got the time to build my business. Or I don't have enough money and I can't get a better job because I haven't got the time to actually look for another job. I'm just too stretched. Or I don't have enough money because I never got the right education, or because I never finished college, or didn't finish my uni, or I don't have enough money, or I can't get richer because the deposit that I saved for my investment property I had to use on XYZ. Or I can't create wealth because I got divorced and my wife took everything, or my husband took everything, or because the kids needed all the money, or whatever it may be. Whenever we speak in terms like that, we are then falling into what Neville Goddard is saying here, with this conviction that there are causes other than our own consciousness that have created any of those type of conditions. I'm just using verbatim that I sometimes hear people say. So when we can move from that to this, no, I take 100% absolute responsibility for every single result in my life up to today, and I accept that somehow, some way, not always conscious, it could be subconscious, but I created that. So I also train Heal Your Life, the Love Yourself, Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And if you look at Louise Hay's book called Heal Your Life, the whole book is about you can heal your life if you first of all take responsibility and understand that every single illness has an underlying root cause. And the majority of the time that people manifest an illness is because they would not use their voice to ask for what it is that they want. Or they don't use their voice to get things off their chest that are bothering them. Or they don't use their voice to address something that really, peed them off. They're really angry about something, but they thought, no, better not disrupt the peace. Let's keep the family happy. I won't say anything. I'll just push it aside and get on with it. All those tiny kinds of situations, good girl syndrome, good boy syndrome, not taking care of yourself, not enough self-love, all of that, never doing the right thing by ourselves, what happens is the body gets sick so it can actually get what it wants to get. Maybe a person needs to be taken care of for a bit of TLC. Well, if you can't ask for TLC by using your voice, then you'll manifest something where people take care of you, then you get what you want. So you get the TLC, but you didn't have to get sick to get the TLC if you learn to use your voice. So everything comes back to our degree of self-love and using our voice, speaking our truth. If you're not happy with something, say so. If you want something else, say so. If you don't want to do something, say so. Using our voice, so speaking the truth and also living your truth. So if a person is not really happy in a situation, but you won't leave the situation or change the situation or change yourself somehow to adapt to the situation, then we can manifest an illness where we actually accomplish that outcome. Right. So on that note, I am. This is quite an interesting paragraph that comes out of Neville Goddard's book. If you think about the words I am, we know the story in the Bible when Moses saw the burning bush and he asked, what to go and tell the people that he saw, who spoke to him. And the answer was, I am that I am. So we know, if you of the Christian faith or reading the Bible, that I am, we've also kind of made synonymous with the name of God. For some people that might be confusing. I'm telling you, that was confusing for me my whole life. I never really understood that. But then I read a book called The I Am Discourses by the Ascended Master Saint Germain. And the whole book is about the power of the words I am, and anything that follows I am, we literally create. So in the I Am Discourses, it says, never ever put a negative word after the words I am. Completely eliminated from your vocabulary. Words create. They're very powerful. They have an energy vibration. Even some people say they cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. Have you ever thought about the word spelling? Why spelling is word spelling? Well, it's like casting a spell. Words are so powerful. So it says here, at the center of manifestation, there is only one I am, manifesting in legions of forms or concepts of itself, and I am that I am. I am is the self-definition of the absolute, the foundation on which everything rests. I am is the first cause substance. I am is the self-definition of God. If you ever remember the statement, the kingdom of God is within, I never understood that either. Until you realize that, hold on, what does that mean? It means that the power, which we might call the kingdom of God, is not outside of you, it's inside of you. And if we know that God is the creator, we are created by the creator, but we created in the likeness and image, which I said earlier, meaning we are creators too. The difference between us and source energy or God or infinite intelligence or the universe, any term you want to use, is volume. It's the power. There's the ultimate power, one universal source energy, and then there's yourself, a droplet of that source energy, as if that was an ocean and you're a droplet of it. But the properties of the drop in the ocean are the same. They are the same properties. If you took a drop of the ocean water and you put it under a microscope, whatever the properties are, it's exactly the same as any of the properties in the ocean. The only difference is volume or power. So the I am that I am, which in that story is the name of God, it's the words we use. We have an awareness of ourselves. You might sometimes forget what you're doing or where you are at some point, but you will never be unaware that you are. You will always be aware that you are something. So I am tired, I'm energetic, I am happy, I am unhappy. You'll always be aware of the self. But those two words, I am, create. So if it says I am is the first core substance, I is the self-definition of God, when you claim I am and assume the thing you want, you literally create it. Now, I know you've heard this before. I'm convinced you've heard it from some other source, just using some other words. However, there's a depth to understanding something, and this is what I'm trying to convey in this webinar tonight, because even me, after studying this, and I teach Silver Manifesting and the Silver Method, this book bowled me over. So let me just show you why. If you're experiencing ill health, knowing the truth about cause, you cannot attribute the illness to anything other than to the particular arrangement of the basic cause substance, arrangement which was produced by your reactions to life and is defined by your concept, I am unwell. So when we think the thought, I'm unwell, we just start feeling a bit unwell, and then you just kind of give into it and say, I'm feeling sick. I am sick. I am feeling sick. We then can create it. So our words are very powerful. Instead of saying, I would like to feel better, I have the power to heal myself, or give your body what it needs. Let's go and have a rest right now. That kind of different approach. It says here, this is why you are told, let the weak man say, I am strong. That's from the Bible. Let the weak man say, I am strong. Saying that your only redemption is using your imagination and having the assumption that you have what it is that you want already fulfilled. So, for by his assumption, the core substance I am is rearranged and must therefore manifest that which is rearranged, which its rearrangement affirms. And then lastly, this principle governs every aspect of your life, be it social, financial, intellectual, or spiritual. So what it's saying is you must own it. Deep down somewhere, you must own it deep inside. If you ever want to manifest it, you have to actually become it first. So you either didn't use your voice to ask for what you really want, or a person was emotionally uneasy and have suppressed it for so long, so the body's now shouting at you, and that's why a person would become ill. That's health. If it's for social, a person could think the thoughts, I am lonely. That will become your experience, because aloneness is not lonely. Lonely is a concept of yourself. It's an assumption of how you view your life and your situation and yourself. You own that assumption, I am lonely, and then it becomes your reality. And then what happens is we defend it and say, no, but I am lonely. I haven't been out that day, I've got no friends. So we first create our beliefs and then we prove them back to ourselves. If it's financial, the words, I'm struggling, or I'm short of money, or I'm broke, that is the creative power. That is creating it in itself. If it's intellectual, a person saying, I'm confused, or I'm lost, or I'm forgetful, I'm challenged, or the opposite, I'm smart. Just if you had that one, it would be a positive one. Saying I'm forgetful creates a person being forgetful. I'm tired. Did you know that proved if a person with perfect energy said, I'm tired, just 20 times with a lot of emotion, their whole energy just like crashed and the person felt tired. I'm going to just share some of these because people say them a lot and I hear them a lot. I'm afraid that this and this is going to happen. I'm afraid. We actually use I am with a word like afraid, or I'm worried about, I am worried. What a powerful negative word. I'm unsure. We say I'm afraid, I'm worried, I'm sure. And then if you tell a person, don't use that language, it's never going to help you create what you want. You often hear them defending their limitations because our ego does not want to be wrong. The reason that we hold these excuses and the victim mentality and don't get out of our struggle, we don't want to be wrong. So we'd rather be right than be rich. We'd rather be right, often not everybody, I'm just saying it as a general statement, we'd rather be right than be healthy. It's because the thing in my body doesn't work. It's because this, is because that. It's that conviction that he was talking about, that chief delusion that Goddard was talking about in the very first quote. Also the words, I'm frustrated. If you say I am frustrated, please understand you're locking into this exact message that I'm saying. When we claim that something outside of us is being the cause of our frustration. I have to go back to the very first quote. Let me find it of this webinar. Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. I know this is a difficult thing to get your head around, even for myself. I've read this book over and over. I've read this chapter about 10 times. There's one chapter in Neville Goddard's book. I kid you not. I've listened to it on audio more than 10 times. I've got the printed version. I've read it with the audio to get my head around this in a more deep and thorough way. How often we just are conditioned to say, you know, this thing's going on and I'm so frustrated. He says it's our chief delusion that there are conditions outside of ourselves that are the causes and not our own state of consciousness. Okay. Even a person claiming something like I'm a bad mother or I'm a bad wife or a bad husband or just I'm not good enough. Anything after the words I am is creating your reality and is keeping you disempowered. What's the name of the book? The book is The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. Thank you for asking. Okay, so here's Neville Goddard. That's the author's name down below. Here's one of his quotes. This great discovery of cause reveals that, good or bad, man is actually the arbiter of his own fate, and that it is his concept of himself that determines the world in which he lives, and his concept of himself is his reactions to life. His concept of himself, I am sick, I am rich, I am poor, I am frustrated, I am treated unfairly, I am not appreciated. I don't know if you hear me. Do you realize that these are concepts of ourselves? They are not your truth. They are just concepts of yourself, which I call the word assumption. We assume a position and we claim it using our language, and we repeat it enough times that it becomes a belief. Belief is a strong ingrained thought. It is so strong that people will die for their beliefs. That's what the army does with soldiers. They give them beliefs, program them, condition them to get these beliefs that you'll die for your country. And these young boys of 19 go out and they do. They're willing to risk their lives, and they wouldn't do that without the training. What did the training do? It conditioned their mind. So by the same token, we repeat a thought over and over and we condition our mind. And then we think our belief is a truth. No, I am sick. I do have whatever it is. It says it here. It's his concept of himself. When you have the feeling or the idea or the concept or the assumption, I am frustrated, I am sick, then we lock ourselves into that and that becomes our reality. So let's find our way out of this now. So you are infinite potential, and that was proved by Abraham Maslow more than half a century ago. You have infinite potential. You can be anything you want to be. We are only limited by our own thinking. So if man's concept of himself were different, everything in his world would be different. His concept of himself being what it is, everything in his world must be as it is. Thus, it is abundantly clear that there is only one I am, and you are that I am. And while I am is infinite, you, by your concept of yourself, are displaying only a limited aspect of the infinite I am. So first, we need to agree, believe, and hold true for ourselves that our potential is unlimited. How do we know our potential is unlimited? The answer is very simple. Your imagination is unlimited. So the title of tonight is Imagination is Your Only Redemption. If you're willing to use your imagination and to imagine a new concept of yourself, you can create it. And your imagination is your imagination. I heard once that a person can't get the desire for something without God giving them the potential to manifest that desire. I quite like that. So your potential is unlimited. The only thing that's limiting is our own thinking. And our own thinking is we look at the conditions and circumstances of our life and make that the influence of our conscious mind. We look, we taste, we see, we touch, we feel, five sensory, every stimulus through our five senses. We create a consciousness, the way we're thinking. The ideas in our head come from our five senses. If you could take that and make that way less important, because you're becoming now aware and conscious as a creator, and you make the most important thing in your life the power of your own imagination, and choose with your willpower and your willingness to change to create a concept of yourself, of what it is that you want. Use your imagination to really imagine it being real, bringing it closer and closer and closer until it becomes one with you, with your eyes closed, imagining it until you can feel what that feels like, as if you've already accomplished it, and hold that as your dominant concept of yourself, even when your eyes are open, when you're not visualizing, when you're walking around, when you're driving, when you're showering. You hold that in your consciousness with willpower and intention. That's what you will become. Every personal development teacher on the planet agrees on only one thing. They have all different teachings, but one thing they all say is the same. Man becomes what he thinks about all day long. So what do you think about yourself? So be not conformed to this world. And that means don't be affected through your five senses of what's going on in the world outside of you. Do not conform to what the world is saying. Do not conform to what's going on in the news. Do not conform to the media. Do not conform when the news says, oh, the economy is down, or inflation is causing people to struggle financially. That's conforming. Do not buy into any idea that is in opposition with your goal, within opposition to your desire. Don't. Be transformed. Create what that you want. Become that you want. Be transformed by what? The renewing of your mind. The only way you can renew your mind is if you have new ideas in your mind. Your thoughts cannot change unless you have new ideas. So first of all, you need to have a burning desire to change. If you want to be healthy and you're unwell, I'm here to tell you, and I'm sorry it sounds terrible, but you're never going to get well unless you have a burning desire to get well. Now that might sound a bit strange because people say, of course I want to get well. What a stupid thing you're saying, Janine. Yes, at a conscious level, we want to be well. Subconscious is below your level of awareness, and there are many people who are unwell because subconsciously there's a secondary payoff. Maybe they're getting the TLC they need. Maybe they can get another shadow value met, like being able to control the situation, because if they're not well, we don't go out. So there's more control there. Maybe they are alleviated of responsibility that they just can't deal with because they couldn't use their voice. So the illness is helping them not have to bear that responsibility. This might sound crazy, but there are many deep subconscious reasons that people manifest illness. If it's money, then we have to be willing to be wrong about every reason we give why we don't have enough money. I'll say that again. If we want to manifest more money, we have to be willing to be wrong about every reason we've given up to now about why we don't have enough money. You've got to be willing to be wrong. Because when you say, I don't have enough money because I've got to pay these things, because I've got private school fees, because I can't work any more hours, I'm already doing 2 jobs, because I don't have the education I want to do this, because I haven't got the time to build my business, because you being the cause, you are being the cause of your limited financial situation. So we have to be willing to be wrong. And this is what it says: be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that comes with imagination. So, therefore, this is Goddard again. It is the height of folly to expect the existence or manifestation of a new or greater concept of yourself to come about by a natural evolutionary process. Do you know how many people think, if I just think about this more and more and Hopefully it will happen. Hopefully this dream of mine will come true. I'll do a little bit more thinking about it and take a bit of action. No, it cannot come about through natural evolutionary process. It says it's the height of folly. That's like the height of craziness. We have to create it. So here we go. The instrument by which you create your world, I'm talking about the means whereby your redemption from slavery, if that's financial slavery, sickness, or poverty, or a bad relationship, or a lack of life purpose, whatever it is that you wish to change, the means whereby your redemption is effected, it requires a new state of consciousness, so new ideas flowing in your head. Its effect obviously cannot be effected without such a state of consciousness. You must assume the feeling. So if you want to make a note, just write down feeling. That's going to be a big help. If you can just remember that, assume the feeling of the thing that you want, this greater life, this new concept of yourself. Assume the feeling. You possess what the rest of nature does not possess. The instrument by which you create your world. What is that? Please type it in the chat box. What is it that you possess that the rest of nature does not possess? The instrument by which you create your world. Type it in the chat box. You've got to all get it right. Go on. Let me hear. What is it that you possess? What is the instrument by which you create your world? No one's typing anything. Our minds, imagination, imagination, imagination and belief. Excellent. Imagination, imagination and mind. Okay, you've understood. You got it. Now that you've got it, let's see how we can work with it. Yes, it's imagination. Nothing more, nothing less. So you need imagination in order to imagine a future that doesn't exist. That's it. Imagination is the beginning of creation. So any condition in your life that you want to change, just remember, imagination is your only redemption. You cannot get it through fluke or lucky circumstance. So Cristiano writes faith. Faith is imagination with no doubt. So it is correct, but it's still imagination because faith means there's no evidence. There's no evidence. So you've got to have the imagined idea that this thing will pass, and that's faith. So it is your imagination absolutely on steroids. All right. The world of reality has its limits. The world of imagination is boundless. That's why your potential is unlimited. For all the Jose Silva fans or people who'd like to do the Silva method or have done the Silva method, even Jose says, if you spur your imagination with desire, belief, and expectancy, train it to visualize your goals so that you see, feel, hear, taste, and touch them, you will get what you want. So I've been talking about the wrong use of see, feel, hear, taste, and touch, 5 senses. The wrong use is letting your outside world, through your 5 senses, affect your consciousness. Jose is saying, use your imagination. And with your imagination, the world you want to create, the person you want to be in that world, imagine it. And then in your imagined world, see, smell, taste, touch, hear, and feel it. So you use your imaginary senses. And by the way, in the Silva method, we spend the whole of day 3 practicing that, practicing our mental senses, mentally hearing, seeing, tasting, touching, and smelling. And that is the vivid use of your imagination. All right, here's a nice quote. Imagination is only redemption. It says here, if you refuse to assume the responsibility of the incarnation of a new and higher concept of yourself, then you reject the means, the only means, whereby your redemption, that is, the attainment of your ideal, can be effected. So it's all to do with using your mind and your imagination. And I love this poem. Oh, be strong then, and brave, pure, patient, and true. The work that is yours, let no other hand do. For the strength for all need is faithfully given from the fountain within you, the kingdom of heaven. Beautiful. So let the work that is yours, let no other hand do. Meaning we take full responsibility to create. Everything is created twice, Joy says. First in the imagination and then in reality. Spot on. 100%. Agreed. Okay. Let's go on. So I like this last quote. Leave the mirror and change your face. So basically, leave the world alone. Don't blame it for anything in your life. Don't blame anybody, any government, any tax system, any weather, any economy, any person, anything at all, any boss, any partner. Don't blame anyone. Leave the world alone. Just change your conceptions of yourself. The one that you want, the relationship that you want. Create it in your mind. And then have a concept of yourself. How would you be in that relationship? Should you be less argumentative, less stressed out, less fired up? Then change that concept of yourself. Start imagining yourself to be calm and centered and completely composed and in control, and own that. Live from that. So how do you give birth to your ideal? Well, mental knowledge and spiritual knowledge are entirely different. I just want to read something from Neville Goddard's book here. He says, in giving birth to your ideal, you must bear in mind that the methods of mental and spiritual knowledge are entirely different. This is a point that is truly understood by probably not more than one person in a million. You know a thing mentally by looking at it from the outside, by comparing it with other things, by analyzing it, by defining it, by thinking of it. Whereas you can know a thing spiritually only by becoming it, only by thinking from it. So just thinking something, which is mental knowledge, changes nothing. You must become it. You must assume this, that you want the wish fulfilled. And once you assume that, think from that place, from that person, from that consciousness, from that concept of self. So you must be the thing itself, not merely talk about it, be it, live it every day. Initially, it may feel very strange because it's not what you are now. But with repetition, a little bit of practice, easily it becomes you. And then you actually do become it, and your world then manifests. You must be like the moth in search of his idol, the flame. If I can just read how Neville Goddard writes this. He says, you must be like the moth in search of his idol, the flame, who spurred with true desire, plunging at once into the sacred fire, folding his wings within, till he became one color and one substance with the flame. He only knew the flame who in it burned, and only he could tell who never to tell returned. Just as the moth in his desire to know the flame was willing to destroy himself, so must you, in becoming a new person, be willing to die to your present self. So in other words, you must be conscious of being healthy if you want to know what health means. You must be conscious of being wealthy if you want to know what wealth or security means. You've got to have it in your mind first. So here's the quote. Just as the moth in his desire to know the flame he was willing to destroy himself, so must you, in becoming a new person, be willing to die to your present self. So that's why we have to be willing to be wrong about every reason we've given about why we have anything we want to change in our lives and why that's not working or why we're stuck. We have to be willing to be wrong about it all and be willing to die to the old self and just start working on assuming the one we want to be. So here's the plan. Here's a 5-step plan to redeem yourself using your imagination. First and foremost, you've got to acknowledge your project. We don't use the word problem. That comes from the Silver Method. If you've got a problem, it means that you're a victim, you're stuck, you can't get out of it. You're in a limited position if you have a problem. So it's a cancel word. We use the word project. If you use the word project, it means you're working on it. So first, acknowledge what is it that you want to change. Secondly, clarity. When I asked you in the beginning tonight to please write down what it is that you want in clear and measurable terms, that's the next step. Have clarity. Number 3 is not just a desire to change. It's a burning desire to change. And if you don't have a burning desire, you have to conjure it. You're the only person who can take desire to a stronger desire, to a very strong desire, to a burning desire. It's not luck. We have to create it. You've got to tell yourself, I really, really want this. I will have it. This is what I will be, what I will have, what I will do. And then you've got to adopt the new version of yourself. So healthy, wealthy, whatever it is. And you've got to change your concept of yourself through intense use of your imagination. So here are the steps for the intense use of the imagination. First of all, imagine it. Then you're going to step into that image of you, imagining yourself, whatever it is that you want. Step into that image, become one with it in your imagination. This is by visualizing. And then you must become it. Feel what it's like to walk in those shoes, look through those eyes, feel those feelings. And that's the most important one. Number 3, feel the feeling as if it's already done. Exclude all contrary thoughts, anything that goes against what you're trying to create. Exclude them from your mind. Any ideas, any beliefs, any news, any media, anything. If you're trying to grow your business, I'm sorry to tell you, you have to exclude any idea from the media that there's anything wrong with the economy. You just cannot adopt any thought like that. That goes in, if it goes into your consciousness, it's going to affect you. Do you know that it's not true? Did you know that the 1929 stock market crash was created through propaganda, and this is now proven? And it was through repetition of the idea of a recession and a depression through propaganda. There were no economic fundamentals. They were created from the consciousness of we're going into tough times. So if you want to create wealth, you cannot listen, buy into, or believe any message that contradicts creating wealth. Just exclude it. Your conscious mind is gifted with willpower. You have the choice to exclude and reject any idea that you want. And if the idea is out of harmony with what you want to create, please reject it. Don't discuss it with anyone. They're going to argue with you. Just you reject it. Keep your mind one-track mind. This is what I want. And if it's, for example, wealth, you will have wealth. People are getting wealthy throughout history during times where they said, oh, the economy was down. Do you think when the economy was down, everyone goes down? There's no way. Some people make the most money when the economy is down because they have their mind in the right place. And it's the same for you. So pay no attention to the outer effects in your world. 0. Don't look at your bank balance and get, oh no, I really don't have enough money. The money hasn't come yet. Exclude the attention. Stay in your imagination. Stay with that image you want to create. This is not easy, guys. I'm telling you, this is the hardest work of man. It's easier to shovel concrete for 12 hours a day than to keep your mind in a singular focus on that you want to become and exclude all negative thoughts. It's the hardest work of man. It's even written in the book of the Science of Getting Rich. It's even written in the book of As a Man Thinketh. It's the hardest labor of man is to control your thinking. But we do need to control and think truth. This comes from Wallace D. Waddles, who wrote The Science of Getting Rich. I just put his own line there. You've got to think truth regardless of appearances. Truth means there is abundance. This world and universe is abundant. God is abundant. There is health. Everything's default setting is perfect health. That's why when you cut your hand, it heals on its own. You don't have to do anything. Your default setting is health. So if your liver's not working and you're sick, it doesn't mean that there's no health, because if you cut your hand will still heal. You cut your toe, it'll still heal. But why is your liver sick? Your liver may be sick, or whatever organ, because in your consciousness, you have some idea about yourself having the condition, and you've created it at some point because you couldn't use your voice. So there's some underlying emotional uneasiness, unattended to thing, which hasn't been addressed. And then last but not least, this that I just said, you've got to just practice it. And the more you practice it with consistency, the more you become it. And whatever you become, that's exactly how you manifest. That's why anybody can get healthier, wealthier, happier, have more loving relationships, live the life of their dreams, if they will just practice the feeling and assuming the wish fulfilled of what it is that they want to create. So imagination is the only redemption. I love this quote. This is one of my favorite quotes of all time from the book As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. Man is anxious to change his circumstances, but he is unwilling to change himself. He therefore remains bound. So, if you want something helpful, I know this is going to sound a bit corny, but just say this 50 times. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to change. Every day when you wake up, say it. When you're driving, I'm willing to change. If you become a person who is willing to change, doesn't matter what it's about, you're just willing to change, you will manifest what you want 10 times faster, much quicker. You'll create the money you want much quicker. You'll heal your body much quicker. You'll be happy in your relationships if you are willing to change. Not the other person change, not any other condition outside of you change, but you willing to change. All right, so that's it from the Meaningful Monday. I hope that was helpful. Any comments, any questions until we go on with what's coming up from anyone? No? All right. So just about the events that are coming up, the Silver Method, for those who may want to attend. The next one is in September. Please book the tickets early. There are few seats left. If you'd like to attend the next one, it's in November. This one in September is at the Right Parramatta Golf Course. The one in November is probably going to be at our new office. It'll be in Parramatta. We don't have the details yet. We're still busy finalizing the paperwork and the lease. However, I do believe we found our office. So for those of you who know that we were looking for an office and we had all kinds of interesting experiences, I have signed the heads of agreement and paid the initial deposit on a beautiful space right on the water, on the park, in Parramatta. So our office will be there. When we have the fine firmed up details, we will announce it to everyone. Kathleen said that was absolutely amazing. Thank you, Kathleen. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If anyone did enjoy tonight's Meaningful Monday, please just put it in the chat box. Let me hear what your thoughts were. I just want to really, really land the message home that anything that you want, anything, can only come by you forcing your mind to imagine that other state continuously and feel what that feels like. Every course, every book, every program, even the Silver Method does the same thing. They're just using different words. So it's nice to share it with different words. I'm using Neville Goddard's words tonight because they really have a powerful, punchy, direct way of actually landing the message. And that's what I wanted to share with you. Where could I join the events? Hold on, let me just open this. Oh, Shirley, consistency of action. Thank you, Shirley. I agree. Amanda, I agree. Very inspiring. Thank you. Karen, I have to leave. Thank you so much. Yes, it reinforced some things I read in a different way. Agreed. Repetition is always good. Kathleen, where can I join events? I'm not sure what you mean by where can you join events. If you want to know where the events are, you just go to my website, which is www. I'll write it here, Janine Shaka International.com. You just go to that website and you click on events on the top menu and you'll find all the events there. Thank you, Bejoy. Awesome practicality. Thank you, Vanessa. We need to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That's true. And even in the words of Wayne Dyer, we need to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And Wayne Dyer wrote the book Wishes Fulfilled. Wayne Dyer's entire content of his book Wishes Fulfilled comes from this book of Neville Goddard. So if you want the original source, it's not Wayne Dyer, it's Neville Goddard. But Wayne has got a great way of explaining it in his own words. Bronwyn loved it. The way you explain makes so much sense. Thank you so much. Fam, thank you. Powerful, insightful. Thank you so much. And Jan, thanks, Janine. Great session. Thank you, Jan. Thank you so much. And thank you. I'm in Ireland. Are they online? No, sorry, Kathleen. They're not. I only do face-to-face. The Silver Method is only face-to-face. However, in Ireland, there's a fantastic silver trainer there. Please join the live class in Ireland. You will not be disappointed. Thanks, Dave. I'm glad you liked it. Mike reinforces the concept. Constant hearing and reinforcing helps me. Yeah, it helps me too. That's why I help you with it, the same thing. Okay. Yeah, the willpower of the mind to keep on track, Christiana Adams said. That is it. It's the willpower and the willingness to keep the mind on that thing that you want. So, enough said. The Silver Method events. If there are any questions on them, please get hold of me. Oh, there's the URL at the bottom there. So just go to my website and find the events. As for Love Yourself, Heal Your Life workshop, the one that's starting next week is closed, sold out, no more tickets there, it's closed out. If you'd like to do Love Yourself, Heal Your Life workshop, if you haven't heard me talk about it, please look on my Meaningful Mondays. I did do a session on it. In my own life, it was the most powerful and transformative 2 days of my own life. We have no idea how much stuff we have from our childhood, especially at the very early ages, under the age of 10. And we don't heal these wounds. So our whole life, we are triggered by the same things. We're triggered by certain kinds of people. We are blocked by taking action on certain things. We want so many things for so many years and we never ever get them for ourselves. For me, for example, it was a boat. My lifelong dream has been wanting to own a boat. Since I did Heal Your Life, the things that I want, I've either acquired them, got them, bought them, changed them, and I can't understand how it took me so many years to be willing to do the right thing by me, and I could only see it in hindsight after doing the course. So on that course, where I said it was the most powerful 2 days for me, I had a subconscious greatest fear. Subconscious, didn't know what that fear was until I did Heal Your Life, and it was the fear of being used, of being blindsided, just being used again and again. And it came from being sexually abused at a young age when I was 12, 13, 14, 15. And I can tell you that I couldn't tell anybody about that. And I never told anybody about that. I promise you on hand on heart, I told less than 5 people my whole life about my sexual abuse. The minute I did Heal Your Life, I don't know how or what, but that program is so powerful, it changed it. I can tell anyone now, I can tell an audience of hundreds of people, even if I don't know them. 0 emotional charge. 0. It's like telling you what I wore yesterday. Same thing, I just tell it as a story. How did that change? I was completely blocked. I couldn't get it out my throat. I couldn't tell people I wanted to. I just could not. I couldn't get it out. Well, that's from having unhealed inner child wounds. So Love Yourself, Heal Your Life does exactly that. It doesn't only heal your life from an emotional point of view. As I said, illness is all from an underlying emotional root cause. So even if you've got illness, that's the cause for you. When we heal the underlying emotional root cause, our body heals. Anyone, as I say, from any condition has healed themselves once we are willing to heal the emotional root cause. But you've got to be willing to change and go through it. So that's in December. There's a very small amount of people taken in a group there. We don't just keep selling tickets. The group's really small. So if you'd like to book, please do book in early. And then mentioned before, we're doing the Silver Method in South Africa. If you're Australian or wherever in the world and you'd like to attend, please write to myself or Nancy. Give us your expression of interest early. It is an opportunity. It's going to be at the Cradle Moon Game Reserve. You see a giraffe in the picture there. I shared the video of the venue in a previous Meaningful Monday. It's a beautiful venue. The wild animals walk right past the conference room. Zebras are there every day at the pool. When you go and have lunch, they come along there. So it's just a spectacular event, really beautiful and very inexpensive for an Australian. For all the accommodation, for all the 5 days, all the meals, everything costs about 500 Australian dollars. Of course, the Silver Method price is separate. That's the 1,500. And then your flights. So if you'd like to have that experience, please give us your expression of interest early so we can plan for that. All right, what we're going to do now is a guided meditation. What I'd like to do tonight is a little bit different. Thank you, Ada. I'm going to practice what we did tonight. We're going to practice this imagination is your only redemption. So I do still want you to get a pen and paper. I am still going to ask you some questions at the end. So you're going to meditate first. I'm going to guide you through a guided visualization. At the very end, I might ask you some questions, and I want you to write down your first impressions. Don't judge anything. Just write down your first impressions, no matter what they are. If you feel like you're making it up, that's the correct feeling. So I'm going to put in a bit of music now. The only thing you need to do before we begin is make sure that you have a clear goal as to what you would like to create. So do you all have that? Let me just open up the screen so I can see everybody. Have some goal in mind, whatever it is. And we're going to do a quick visualization so you can practice it. Thank you, fam. No problem. All right, here's the music. All right, so make sure you comfortably have a pen and paper without moving your body too much if you had to write. So just stay in a writing position, maybe on your lap with a pen and paper, and just relax. Close your eyes. Take a nice deep belly breath in. And as you exhale, just relax. Start to consciously relax your body from head to toe. Relax your scalp, your forehead, your eyes, your cheeks, your tongue and jaw. Relax your neck and shoulders. Just drop your shoulders and really just relax your shoulders. Get rid of all the tension in your shoulders. All the way down your arms into your hands. Take another slow, deep belly breath in. And as you exhale, relax your chest. Continue to breathe deeply, slowly, and rhythmically as you relax. Now relax your abdomen. Relax your hips and pelvic area. Relax your thighs and your knees. Relax your calves all the way down to your feet. Continue to relax more and more. Now, in this very relaxed state, I'm going to guide you through a meditation to visualize this, so that you can create it from the feeling, from the assumption of being that. It's similar to a meditation we do in the Silver Method, but I'm going to just share it with you in layman's terms so that everyone can understand. I'd like you to bring to mind the current situation or problem that you're going to convert into a project. So just bring to mind this current situation right now. I'd like you to acknowledge any factors that contribute to this current problem situation. Acknowledge any thoughts you have about it that contribute to the problem. Any beliefs you hold that contribute to this problem. Any excuses we make about why we have the problem. All the reasons we give. The courage of our convictions to explain why we are right and we have this problem. Just bring that all to mind. And now tell yourself, I'm willing to change. I'm willing to change the fact that I think I'm right about why this is a problem. And as you acknowledge the causes of the problem, imagine rubbing out that image like you're cleaning a whiteboard. Just rub it all out. And now bring to mind the goal as if it's already accomplished. Not accomplishing the goal, beyond that. So if you want to, for example, make a sale and have your client sign the contract, don't imagine signing the contract. Imagine the contract's already signed. What are we doing now? What resources do we need? That kind of thing. So just bring to mind your outcome image as if it's already accomplished, as if it's in a past tense, already done, already accomplished sense. Bring that to mind. Now, I want you just to answer the following questions to yourself mentally in specific terms. What is it I want to create? When do I want to create it? Have a specific time or date. Where will I be when it's manifested? And now mentally answer this question with as many reasons as you can. How will this make your life different and better? Take your time. And why is this important to me? Give as many reasons as you can. Why is it important to you? Now, once again, imagine the goal image, and I want you to, with all of your capability, project intense desire onto this goal image and a belief that you will create it and an expectation of it happening. Conjure that feeling. Hold that image in your imagination. And now I want you to imagine walking up to that image of yourself, stepping into the image of you. Become one with it and feel it. See it through your own eyes. You walking in your own shoes. I want you to feel the feeling of it already being accomplished. And I'm going to give you some time. I want you to feel the feeling. Feel it with all your emotion. And when the feeling is strong and the image is just right, I want you to press your thumb and the first two fingers of your hand together. In the Silver method, we call this the three-finger technique. Press your three fingers together and say to yourself mentally, whenever I have a need or desire to think this way or feel this way, believe or behave this way. All I need to do is put my 3 fingers together and it will be so. Whenever I have a need or desire to think this way, feel this way, believe or behave this way, all I need to do is put my 3 fingers together and it will be so. Whenever you think of this goal, anytime in the future, only imagine this image that you've created and put your 3 fingers together, close your eyes, take a small deep breath and just bring back this feeling. And that's what you need to practice with consistency. That feeling. You can visualize this again tomorrow and the next day and the next. Visualize it so much that you create a strong memory of the future you. And before you know it, you will become it. What the mind can conceive and believe it will achieve. And now allow a deep breath and relax. And answer the following question and write it down, your first impressions. What do I want to focus on for this month ahead, the month of August, related to your goal? What do I want to focus on for the month ahead? And when you're done, take a breath, close your eyes and re-enter the meditation. And relax. And now as I ask you the next question, again, just write down your first impressions. What steps do I need to take me closer to what I want to do, be, or have? Write down your first impressions. What steps do I need to take me closer to what I want to do, be, or have? And relax. The next question is, what do I need to let go of? Write down your first impressions. What do I need to let go of? And the last question, is there anything else? Is there anything else I need to know or anything else I need to do? Just is there anything else? And then allow a deep breath and relax. I'm going to count from 1 to 3. At the count of 3, you'll open your eyes, be wide awake, feeling fine and in perfect health, feeling better than before. 1, 2, coming out slowly now. 3, open your eyes, wide awake, feeling fine and in perfect health, feeling better than before. Okay, welcome back everybody. I'm just going to stop the recording now.